has been dismissed by Justice Minister Michael Masutha. Following the announcement this afternoon, King Dalindyebo filled yet another urgent application to have his bail conditions extended.
It is my considered view that the first ground presented does not warrant my intervention for a directive as contemplated under Section Section 3271 of the Act, in terms of which I am being approached. With regard to the second ground of ignoring customary law, it is my considered view that this point once again constitutes an argument on a point of law or interpretation of the Constitution, which only a competent court and not myself as executive functionary is competent to decide upon. In this regard, I will wish to allude to Section 34 of the Bill of Rights, which entitles parties to have disputes adjudicated by courts. In the circumstances, I'm unable to find anything contained in the aforesaid petition which constitutes, quote, further evidence which has since become available, which materially affects his or her conviction, close quote, and therefore am obliged to dismiss this petition. I have since communicated my decision to the King's legal representatives.
All right, so for more on that story, we cross now to our reporter Zimkhita Manqinana, who's outside the official residence of the King. Thanks very much for joining us again, once again, Zimkhita. Again, we've just seen the Justice Minister giving his decision, and he dismissed the petition. And in theory, the King should be going to jail.
Yes, Peter, they have emphasized that the application, right from the beginning, Peter, they were saying the application does not alter his bail conditions, which were set upon him on the 2nd of December when the judgment was handed down. And even last week, Peter, the few days, the extra days that he got were not an extension of bail, but rather a correct calculation of the 14 days, counting from the day when he received that order from the Constitutional Court. So he's only going to court tomorrow to apply for a formal bail application extension. However, even that, the Department of Justice has emphasized that without any alteration on the conditions that were set upon him on the 2nd by the Constitutional Court, tomorrow is D-Day for the King. He has to hand himself over to Correctional Center and between the early hours of tomorrow and midnight.
Now, meanwhile, whilst the King was busy delivering the Justice Minister was busy delivering his decision, the King was quite busy in Mutata.
He was very busy and excited today, Peter. He had a document, a 6-page document, which he claimed that he had got from the Supreme Court of Appeal, granting him his application for a retrial on the matter and for his 12-year jail sentence. Side. He was very excited when we were speaking to him. He was even saying that there is no one who is superior than God. It's only God who can send him to jail, not the courts of. He was very, very happy, Peter, handing the document to police and also to the national prosecuting officers here in Tata. But later during the day, just a few minutes after the announcement by the minister, the NPA, after taking a thorough look into the document, they found out that the document has some little bit of a problem in terms with the stamp. The stamp does not look like the stamp that they have from the Supreme Court of Appeal, and even the wording on the document is fishy, and now they are conducting a formal investigation into the document as to who is the the author of this document that claims to be giving the king a retrial and setting aside his jail sentence. But Peter, with this investigation continuing, also I must stress that the NPA has emphasized that it does not change the fact that tomorrow he must hand himself over to Wellington Prison.
So he's going to use this particular document then in his application to have his bail extended. So the authenticity of this document is pretty much the thing that's keeping him out of jail. And if it's proved not to be authentic, that's the end of the story.
It's not the document that is keeping him out, Peter, but the bail conditions that were set upon him on the 2nd, that should his application for leave to appeal his 12-year jail sentence be dismissed, then he'll be given 14 days. So without any alteration on those conditions, then it leaves the king without any other avenue but to hand himself over to jail tomorrow. So the NPA is saying while they are continuing with the investigation into the document, that will go on its own process. Tomorrow is the day that he has to hand himself over to jail.
All right, so one way or another, we're probably going to get some clarity from court tomorrow. Zimkhita, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much for that update. This is a moving story, and we'll continue to watch this case on your behalf. Well, let's take a look at some of the reactions.